things and what happened with me with Christmas. I didn't go anywhere for Christmas, like in regards to somewhere for a dinner. And this was orchestrated. This was purposely done. I didn't go on purpose. There was a dinner. There's always a dinner somewhere for my family at someone's house. Either it be Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. There's always going to be a dinner. But they chose Christmas Eve because usually they stay Christmas Eve and then they enter Christmas, like they stay beyond midnight and then they go home. But I chose not to go because maybe 3 weeks before Christmas, or 4 weeks before Christmas, there was an incident with my youngest daughter where she was mimicking some statements that were made by this particular coven, one young lady in this coven, who I don't know what her issue is. I don't know if the spirit, I have to really ask God to show me about the spirit of jealousy and what it can make people do. I guess it's a Jezebel spirit, but let me tell you, when my daughter started to speak, I didn't even recognize her. I wanted to push her out of the car. I was driving with her and she started making these statements and she was yelling over me. She made statements about me that weren't true right to my face. And I thought to myself, no. This is a danger. You know, they've been, I right away I thought to myself, they had been intercepted somehow. And I always say, the love of money is the root of all evil. And I couldn't imagine where the money would be coming from because I don't see anyone flossing the way that, you know, would make sense enough to turn on me. But I do know this, that this world sees kindness as being weak. And as much as I always had the ability to set boundaries for myself, I always thought that setting these boundaries was cruel. And the only reason why setting boundaries is cruel, only way that it's cruel is because it's cruel to myself. And so what I've learned, this part of my healing journey, has been to set boundaries and not care. I almost want to swear. I'm so passionate about this thinking. It's so empowering to people. I'm almost setting boundaries that I don't need to set for the sake of just doing it. Because I just can't believe that there's grown people in my life that I used to go to for advice. Like I actually picked a relationship, stayed in a relationship that was right away red flags based on what my mother told me to do. Oh, don't worry about it, as long as he's making money, as long as he's a hard worker. Are you kidding me? I would never give that advice to my daughters. Never. That being said, I've learned to, like I said, said this before, I've learned to love my alone time, which is not really alone time because the Holy Spirit is always with you. And the more that you spend time alone and acknowledge that he's there, he pours into you. He comforts you. And I don't think people, I was saying I was going to do videos about the difference between this generation and generations gone by. Somehow the enemy has led this generation to believe that witchcraft is a real thing, that the devil is powerful. The devil is powerful, but his power does not supersede or is more than the power of our God in heaven. Like our God created everything. And the problem with this generation is that they're lazy. They want things easy. They want things fast. They don't want to get their hands dirty. And that's because they've been programmed to believe there's always an easier way or faster way to get what they want to get. So they're enamored with certain lifestyles that they've been seeing on TV. And so Christmas time, I didn't go to Christmas dinner because the behavior of my daughters, the only reason why I would go to this Christmas dinner is because my daughters would be there. And because our relationship was somehow tarnished and I had not been talking to them, I didn't go. And I enjoyed my alone time so much more because when I go to these parties, I don't pretend. I am generally having a good time, but I feel as though when I go there, there's a lot of warfare. And I do believe when you are engaged with somebody, whether you're eating a meal with them, whether you're partaking in a party with them, if you're in a circle and you're engaging them in some kind of way, and they're into witchcraft, you are accepting whatever spells they are doing. Now, thankfully for me, God has led me to understand that I am protected. And I think I've been protected all my life, because let me tell you, I put myself into situations where I shouldn't even be here right now. Like, I put myself into situations with people who have red rum on their minds, who have done that before and are relentless and don't care about anybody. That being said, right now, I'm shocked, because I always thought that whatever God was going to do in my life, he would be doing it for me and my girls. And I always said this when this walk started, when the Lord revealed to me who I was, the goal for the people that are in my life who practice witchcraft, they obviously knew too. And their goal was to somehow prove to some entity or somebody out there who needs to know this or believe this, is that I'm crazy. They need to prove or push me to the limit where I respond in a certain way where they can say, look, she's crazy. And because the Lord, our Heavenly Father led me to understand this, I just relax and I just see how things unfold. Now, I'm going to tell you this. The only reason why they are saying these things is because, and this is how I used to think too. I used to think that the only person who could actually do like a 40-day fast, someone who could actually, the only people who could actually prophesy or see the future, or people we see on TV, or a pastor that's been appointed by a man to sit in a pulpit and speak a word. The church is not, and I've said this before, you need to understand this, the church is not who man chooses. The church is chosen by God. God chooses his church. It's not about who man appoints. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people who are in the pulpits right now, who are appointed by men, are working for the enemy anyway. Their job is to taint the word, to manipulate the word, so that people will do the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. The enemy will give gifts. The enemy has the authority to give people gifts. People can astral project. They can astral travel. They can cast spells, for sure. But if you serve God now, if you serve our Creator, his promise is that he will protect. He will protect you. So as much as the enemy can cast spells, the Lord will protect his chosen, his children, people who have dedicated their lives to serve him. And you know what? The saddest part is that the churches that are out here, there's so many churches, and none of them are preaching this. So you have people in church, people who walked into a building on a Sunday, on a Wednesday for Bible study, on a Tuesday for youth, whatever, and they are practicing full-fledged witches and warlocks because they want the power. They want it now. The enemy will promise you fame. They'll promise you fortune. They'll promise you any person you want to bed or wed. They'll promise you anything you want, right? But the consequence is that the enemy, if you look at it, the bare bones of it, the enemy is going to suffer eternal damnation anyway. So his job is to take as many people down as he can. That's his job. So he'll promise anything he wants. He'll promise you things he cannot fulfill, so that he'll get you to go with him. Now, as long as you have breath in your body, you can repent. But there's always a consequence for the choices that we make. That's how it is. I really wish, though, that I had done things a little differently. That I had said no to my girls a lot more than I did. I went through such a horrific childhood that I really I wanted to spare them from pain. I wanted to spare them from going through what I went through. So I did the total opposite, which either one, pouring into them too much or not pouring into your child at all. Both of them are not good. There's a comfortable medium is great. So I think I should have put my foot down a little bit more. But I was raising them by myself, and really, ideally, I thought if I poured into them, they would, you know, be respectful, that they would appreciate each other and me. And I think there is some kind of appreciation there, but I think though that they are enamored with the world. They're all four of them. All four of my daughters are so smart, and they're so beautiful. Right? They are. I feel every time their one was born, I was like, wow, I made this. Holy cow. I don't know how many parents. I know that, you know, there's not many moms and dads that don't love their kids, and there are parents that don't. But the way that I think about my kids is, I think I know that I'm like over the top. Like when my first daughter was born, I used to just sit with her in my lap and just look at her. Like, wow, I made this. Incredible. So anyway, I think it's important to have a foundation where people love you. I love my girls. I think they know this. I think that I didn't know that there was such a thing as loving to a fault. Maybe there is. But I do believe that good is going to come from this. Because if the betrayal that I've had, the way that two of my daughters treated me, was any sign of what was really in them, it needed to come to the surface. Because there's no way you're going to make it to heaven if you have hatred towards your parent. That's biblical, scriptural foundation stuff. So I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that this stuff came to the forefront. And I'm glad that my children know that my family is corrupt as heck. Corrupt as heck. My family is terrible. Even the ones, I have an aunt who professed to be a Christian years ago. She is the worst. Why? Because she had been serving the Lord for so long, I guess she felt as though she was better than everybody else. That must be what it is. And when this thing about me came to light, she became my biggest enemy. She came to the house and she yelled at me, talking about, look at yourself, see yourself, blah, blah, blah. And she fully well knew what was going on. She knew the plan of my family. And I think that whatever is going on, she benefited from it in some kind of way. So anyway, the point is that Christmas didn't happen the way it typically would happen for me. And it's funny that the Lord had led me to not practice Christmas years ago because it's pagan. So it kind of worked out okay, because I already had the mentality that, you know, I was doing what I did a lot of times because my kids were still, you know, in the world. Their schools were still doing Christmas, so I still did kind of Christmassy things. Yeah, good morning. And so I felt as though I felt so free this year that I didn't have to do anything. That when one of my daughters was going to this dinner, she, you know what, you're in good company, darling. But I'm not too sure how you're receiving it. So this family here is saying that they felt with their family this year as well. It is pagan. Christmas is pagan. But okay, so someone came on the channel. Someone had asked me, because I had mentioned that I had not done Christmas, and I was saying that, you know, a lot of the people who I know who have the same gift as me, who have been called for this time, we're starting to see each other now. We're starting to, through social media, we're starting to see who's who right now. And so they celebrate Christmas. Like they do it not because they celebrate Christmas per se, but they acknowledge it because, one, it's one time of the year where our Heavenly Father, our Creator, Yeshua, is actually acknowledged openly. Like the world kind of shuts down for it, which is great. But the foundation of it is pagan. It's not of God. But remember when Yeshua or Jesus came here, he sat with sinners. He didn't say, oh, no, and I'm not going to sit with you. He got mad when people did things they weren't supposed to do, but he sat with them. He engaged them. So to me, if it's a situation like Christmas where people are acknowledging the Lord, as long as I'm not doing what goes against what God calls me to do, I'm going to sit with family. I'm going to eat with family. I'm going to engage them. I'm going to love on them. I'm going to dote on them. I think that if you are awake to what's really happening on this earth, you're seeing not a part of the matrix, and you're seeing what's going on, you're going to be in awe, first of all. But secondly, if you're trying to draw people through your example, I think they're only going to see the example by you being there. If you're constantly like saying, oh, I'm not going, oh, I'm not doing this, if it's something that they're doing that's wrong, okay, I understand. But if they're breaking bread and they're sitting down chilling, they're playing games and they're laughing, I think you could be an example. You could be in a situation and say, you know what, oh, and joke with them. I used to be one of the life of the party. Like I love to play games. I love to joke around. I love to applaud people. Well, my family's talented. They can sing, dance, act, blah, blah, blah. So when we get together, it's a show. And so I love to go in there and laugh with them, joke with them, high five them. I have tons of videos on my phone and saved on my iCloud of all the different things that we've done. And my daughters took the torch and ran with it. They have this thing they do on Boxing Day usually. It's called Sismas. And because of the nature of how our family was, there was no love there. When we first got uprooted from our natural lives and separated from each other, there was no real love amongst the people around us. So they came together and did their own thing called Sismas. So they had Boxing Day after Christmas, they come together and they do their own little thing. Well, the family didn't like that, so they infiltrated it. They started to invite themselves into Sismas, act like they wanted to be a part of it by like offering to bring something, offering to do this, and it just changed the whole freaking dynamic. The whole point of it was because the family wasn't for us, for them to have their own little thing. Anyway, this year's Sismas didn't happen, and I think it's partly because of whatever they were trying to do didn't go down. So Sismas should have happened already, should have happened on Boxing Day, but it didn't happen. So yeah, Christmas this year for a lot of people was off. As a matter of fact, Christmas Day, I went for a run and there was a fire in a house up the road, right on the street that I run on. And I thought it was pretend. I thought they were trying to block my run. You know how I always say that people are trying to block what I do. So I was driving my daughter to the GO station to go visit her dad, who's living maybe about a half an hour train, 45-minute train ride away from here. And she had gotten up late and I had to drive her to the station, and the street that takes us there was blocked by all these like 3 fire trucks, 2 ambulances, police car. Like what's going on? So I went the back way. Luckily I know the area very well. And when I came back to check it out, sure enough, it was a fire. I have pictures. I can post them on. I'll post them on my my Facebook page and maybe on my Instagram. So, or maybe I'll post it on here too. There's like, they pulled out a sofa out of the living room. This is Christmas morning. They pulled out a sofa out of the living room, put it on the driveway. Imagine, think about a sofa with flowers on it and stuff. It was completely like torched. It was black. And I'm thinking like they might have been kids in that house. Who knows, maybe it was a candle, maybe they were playing and knocked the candle. Who knows how it went down? But Christmas morning they had, instead of being prepared for Christmas dinner, you could see the top window of the house, the windows, the mesh was pulled out. Like they must have had to exit through the roof. Like how traumatic was that? I just know that the Lord is doing, and remember, this is the community who's been blocking my run and stuff like that, right? So I'm not trying to say that this family did anything, but I know the Lord, karma right now is coming around quickly for people. Like if you're thinking that they know what's going on with me and they know the calling on my life and they're trying to do things to me as a community, as a collective community, and they're getting paid for it, God does not play. Not in this hour. He's demonstrating right now that he is true and real. So like I said, I don't know the foundation of what happened there, but all I know is that Christmas this year for people was not great. It is pagan, but again, the Lord uses every opportunity he can to try and draw souls to the kingdom. And Christmas is one of those things. Now, the opposite of that, of course, is Halloween. We should not be participating in that. All these things, Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, they're all pagan. I think even New Year's, supposedly, that whole thing about New Year's is supposedly pagan as well. But it is what it is. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that that's what happened with Christmas for real. I was talking about not participating in Christmas. It's just this year. Every year I go for a dinner. Every year. This is the first year I've never gone for a Christmas dinner somewhere. I did make the macaroni pie. My daughter had to go to work, so it was her job to do it. But because she had to go to work, I did it for her. So I don't even know how the thing tasted. I didn't have a chance to even have any of that. Anyway. So to let you know, this is where I'm at. Looking very tired. For someone who doesn't participate in Christmas, is not doing much but just the channel and waiting on the Lord to... There's a promise that was made to me by the Lord. And I'm waiting on that. That's what I'm waiting on. Because the way that things went down, people would say, why don't you go get a regular job? I couldn't possibly. And I'll tell you how deep this is. Why? How this is. Somehow they used my eldest daughter to get me to go to a hospital. Like I was in a position where I couldn't possibly go to a shelter, because when I went to a battered women's shelter, they were stealing my stuff. They were replacing it with garbage. It was just terrible. So I knew that this was big, because anyone should be able to go to a shelter and not be attacked. I was attacked everywhere. So when my mother got the police to throw me out of the house, of her home, without my shoes and everything else, I started to have to figure out how to survive. A lot of miracles happened during that time. Now, when this all went down, I lost a lot of weight. And it went on for a couple years. For a couple years, I had no real place to be. And so I was like, at this point I was homeless, and my family knew, and I guess they thought maybe I would try and kill myself, or I would, because a lot of guys would like approach me and say, you're beautiful, I have a place, you want to come stay with me? And I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. Are you kidding me right now? I'd have to be nuts. You imagine what would it, oh God. Every bad, scary movie that I've ever watched is based on something like that, where some chick got apprehended or something. Anyway, the point is that God protected me through it. And at one point, my daughter came to me and she said, what did she say? To come and meet her. So I went to go at a certain spot. So I went to go meet her. And when I went to go meet her, it wasn't her, it was the police. And they said that they wanted to take me to see how I'm doing, how I'm doing. Because I'm thinking to myself, first of all, mentally, I was fine, obviously. But I was very thin. So I thought it was because of the nature of how thin I was. So I said, okay. I wasn't by myself. I was with my second eldest child. So I said, okay, I should have said, I really thought that my daughter was really trying to help me. Anyway, they said that they had to handcuff me, because that's the protocol. I said, protocol for what? If you think there's something that I'm not well, like physically, why are you handcuffing me? Why would that be a thing? Anyway, I let them handcuff me, take me to the hospital. And when I got there, they were talking to me like, get your ID. Like their tone started to change. I'm like, what is wrong? But I guess once you give your ID, your health card or whatever to administration, then they kind of own you. So just keep that in mind. Once you walk into a hospital and you give you admit yourself, I don't know what the process is to demon. I guess you could just walk out, but basically it was almost like that was the clincher. The clincher was to get me in there, and then somehow convinced me to get on a gurney. They said they were going to do blood tests or whatever. They took blood from me, and then I was down there for I'd say about 8 hours, 9 hours in emergency. When that was done, I thought they were going to let me go, but instead they strapped me down and took me up to a floor. When I got up there, I realized it was a psychiatric floor. I'm like, why am I here? Why am I here? Okay, so I think that was, when was that? That was probably August? July, August, probably August. And August, September, yeah, I was there from August till just before my birthday. My birthday was October 1st. So that means I was in that hospital for 2 months. So what they would do knowing fully well I'm totally conscious and in my right mind. When God calls you for something, you can't change what it is. It is what it is, right? So my behavior changed because my knowledge of my understanding of what's going on around me changed. It doesn't make me crazy. It just means that what I understand to be true is no longer the same. So anyway, they try to say that this is my doctor and whatever, and they had this whole thing about, he had his paperwork, and came this Indian gentleman, and I'm like, I'm not talking to you. I don't even have to be here. Why am I here? I was just so defiant. I was so like, why am I here? So anyway, what they did is they tried to do all these things to me to piss me off or to upset me, to get me out of character, to act crazy. So there's one gentleman, when I had a room, I was in a quad, and at some point I was in the quad by myself. I think I was ready to shower, just showered or whatever, and this tall, dark-skinned man walked in there acting like he was foaming from the mouth, like he was acting all crazy, and I'm like, I guess they thought I would freak out. This is just one example of many things that they did to me in there. And I said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And the doctor that was on, I guess, on the floor at that time came in, and I heard her say, she's not afraid. And I'm thinking, why would I be afraid? Why would I be afraid? Anyway, the point was that they were trying to make me fearful. I guess when you step out of the realm of the spirit and you become either fearful, angry, jealous, prideful, whatever, it opens up a gateway for the enemy to do work in you. So what would happen is they do things to me just before, like, in the daytime or whatever, and then I go to sleep, and the quad that I was in, the quad is like a room with four people, they'd send witches in there. And all night they would do their spells. And I could tell, like, you can tell when I can tell now when someone's trying to do a spell. Usually they put their head down, they have their eyes closed, they have their feet in the air. They're not sleeping, but whatever they're doing, maybe it's astral projecting, or whatever they're doing it. But the point is that people would come and go. So I'm in there I guess they give themselves about an 8-week period to try and see if they could try and either kill me or, make me go nuts or whatever. So I'd have people in the quad. And I guess when I was in the emergency space down in the emergency room, waiting to leave the hospital, that they were getting people to agree to go upstairs and be in the room where I was going to be so they could do their work that they were going to do. Anyway, this is what this is what I believed what it was. And even then, I'm not figuring this out now. This is what I believed then. Anyway, at the end of this whole stunt or situation, at the end, just before my birthday, I guess they thought because when I was in there, things were happening. Like when they would try and do a spell, like all the power in the building or on the floor would go out. Stuff like that. Like I would say Psalms 91 in my mind. And like, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, or he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide. I would say it all in my head, and things would happen, like miraculous things would happen. So they obviously thought something. I don't know what they thought, but anyway, at one point I was getting stupid, and it was close to my birthday. And I said, you have no right to hold me here. And they said, you're right, we don't. And so I guess they must have announced or said that I need medication. Mind you, they had never talked to me about anything. And I've never. Only thing I used to do when I was in there was praise and worship. Praise and worship in the morning when I got up. Praise and worship at the end of the day. Anyway, that was the only thing that I did that they could see. I didn't talk to any doctors or anything like that. So, before, like I said, maybe a week before I was ready, they were starting to talk. They realized that nothing was going to happen with me. They had 2, or I guess orderlies, and a nurse that was assigned to me, hold me down and inject me with something. Now this injection had me sleeping. I hardly ate for the 2 weeks that were left that I was in there. I could hardly stay awake. I was sleeping all the time. Okay, so when it wore off and they said that I was going to be demitted, I thought to myself, yeah, that's right. I shouldn't be here anyway. But what happened was, when I was demitted, whatever injection they gave me, it disturbed my nerves. I was having difficulty like walking. My head was light. I was on edge. Like I felt anxious. And so I said, it's the injection. I knew it was. And I was confiding in my mother, thinking that my mother was for me because she was visiting me almost every day, not knowing that she was the reason why I was put in there in the first place. She was the reason why I lost my job. She was the reason why, my mother was the reason why a lot of things happened. My mother's a dark witch. And I didn't know it then. What was the purpose of that? What was I telling you guys that for? The point is I guess, I think, the things that are in place right now, the systems that are around us, I don't trust them. I have no trust for the medical system. I don't have no trust in the judicial system. I have no trust in the protective services, whether it be fire, police, none of that. Because if they, for whatever the reason, there is a level of authority above what you can see. I promise you this. I promise you that there is people governing what's happening around us that you don't see, that the typical person doesn't see, that can announce and say and do things and tarnish your name. They can allow people to go into the system and add things in there that are not true. Like supposedly they could go in there and change your medical history. Like there's a time when I thought I had been in a relationship with someone, and every time I was in a relationship with someone, I'd go to the doctors and ask my doctor if he could do a test for everything: HIV, herpes, blood, any kind of blood, iron, anything, everything. I said, test me for everything. It came to the point where because one of the tests you have to do is swab. It came to the point where he would give me the Q-tip and leave the room and let me do it myself, because he must have thought that I was getting off on coming there and having him do this test. The point is, every test came up negative. I just thought to myself, I refuse to be in a situation where I'm hurting somebody else if something should happen to me. So I always would go to the doctors and get a test done. Always. Well, supposedly, there is some kind of talk about me having infested somebody with something. And that talk is coming from my mother, because I scare. I thought there's a time when I thought I might have, but as soon as I thought that I got that idea, I always go to the doctors and I always say, like, this is what's going on. Anyway, I've been tested so many times. Like I said, my doctor was like, okay, here's a swab. I'm leaving the room. You do the swab yourself. Anyway, that being said, my foundation is a mess. I've been through some stuff. I trust no system here. None of the stuff that's in place here, I trust. And I'm gonna do another video maybe later on today. I'm not sure. There's so many things I could tell you, but how I was chipped, how I know that I'm followed. Just as much as you could put a tag on someone's car and like, if you have a boyfriend that you don't trust him, I'm gonna put a tag on his car and see where he's going. I don't know what he's gonna see. People, let's just say you go to the dentist, they can put a chip in your tooth. If you go to have a baby, they can put a chip inside of you, so that whenever you go somewhere, they can just tell them this is their number. Give them an app and they can know exactly where you are. You know how many times I've been in a situation where I have someone, they have their phone like this, or looking at it, looking at me, looking at it to see, like, is this the person I'm supposed to be following? You have to be retarded. Or sorry, I'm not gonna. Supposedly my daughter said that's not appropriate. You'd have to not have a mind to not realize that you're being followed. You see the same people over and over again. They're looking at their phone. They're looking at you. Right? Anyway, that's my spiel for today. I just dropped my daughter off. I'm thinking I'm going to try and get some more sleep. It's still dark. I mean, I could run, but it's dark. So as much as this morning, it's still dark outside. So I'm going to go and see if I can get a little bit more sleep, because I think I need it. I appreciate you guys so very much. I'm sweating like a pig. I have my hat on, he's on. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to start writing this stuff down, because I don't want to repeat myself again. I know I've said a couple of these things before, but I think it's important, now that I'm realizing what's happening around me and who my enemies are, to kind of revisit these stories, the things that I have had to endure at the hands of people I love, plus the systems that are put in place to supposedly protect us and provide for us and to govern over us. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Well, the Lord's been leading me to share my stories, and I think I need to share them more because at some point they were kind of like I was kind of reluctant to share the stories I went through because they were so odd, and I'm like, "Oh, how is this happening? How is this being permitted to happen?" I worked at the school board. This is a government. I worked for a public school, and I was high up in the like I what my job was. A lot of people on the board knew what I did. I had a name for myself there. I helped a lot of students. A lot of students would come back and visit and see me, say hi, how's it doing? The program I worked for started off with me and one other girl, and it exploded to this big thing. So I always seem to be put in positions where I'm working with people in the higher ups or having a position of influence or independence, right? Or high responsibility. So what's happening to me right now, I didn't want to share because it was I didn't know if anyone could actually relate to it or believe it, but now I'm realizing that people need to hear this because they can relate. They've been through some stuff and they need to know that they're not alone. So this is why I'm revisiting these stories so that people can know. And I'm saying them in a way right now. Before I was sharing them in a way that was kind of like I was leaving out parts because they'd be unbelievable. Oh, that's what I was going to say. In relations to the hospital visit, after I came out of the hospital, my birthday was October 1st. I needed to get my license renewed because it was going to be expiring that time. So I went to my mother, acting like she loved me, took to me. Hi hearts. My mother took me to it's called Service Ontario, where you get your license renewed. And she I think she even actually paid for it to get my license renewed, because at that time I had been on kind of like in like out in and about on my own trying to survive, like I mean truly like an animal, for about 2 or 3 years. And in my mind I was like, my children better be okay, they better, because I knew their father was like the last two's father was abusive. Anyway, the point is I went to go get my license renewed, and the people that were there were fine at first, and then at some point, like somehow I think people who are into witchcraft can communicate without words, because at some point the guy that was working there started to act weird. So I think I need ID or something. I have my license, I keep everything, and when I pay for the renewal, I keep the receipt in my wallet. You'd be surprised how many receipts I keep. Every receipt, so it's ridiculous. But for this, it worked out well. Because after that time, about 5 years later, when I was supposed to renew my license, I went back to the ministry and they said, your license is, you don't have a license. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, yeah, your license had not been renewed. I said, yes, it was. I paid $90 and it was renewed. And they said, no, it wasn't. So I went into my wallet. This is 5 years later. I pull out the receipt. Well, yeah, they took your license, but they didn't take mine. They didn't have a reason to take my license. I didn't freak out. They didn't have no reason to take my license. There's no reason they should have. Anyway, but they didn't. What the thing is that they didn't renew it. They took the money, but they didn't renew it. Probably something to do with what my mother had said. So this was an underlying, like maybe she offered them money. I don't know what happened, but somehow they renewed the license. I got my car. I got the temporary license. When you get that when you pay, and they're supposed to mail a license out into the mail. But I had not been getting a lot of my mail, so I thought maybe it got lost in the mail. And I didn't really need it at that time because I wasn't driving. But at some point I met a gentleman, and for this business I had to drive. So this is when it came that when I went to go renew my license, they were saying that you don't have a license, that it had expired. And I'm like, what? That could not be. Anyway, I pulled out the receipt, showed it to them, and they were like, I guess they were shocked that I had kept it all that time. So anyway, they said, well, you've already gone through the process having to renew your license again or reapply, so just go through the process. And I'm like, why would I do that? I said, what? They said they have to refund me the money, the $90 I paid, and then I have to go through the process of writing the test and do my first stage of driving, then the second stage. So I did it all in about 3 weeks because I've been driving, and the people that were doing the test with me, they're like, "You're a very seasoned driver." I was like, "Yeah, I know," and I didn't want to even explain how I was there doing this. But the point is that the corruption, the ability for a lay person, just a regular person, to walk into the situation and dictate what happens is the thing that's getting me. The thing that's getting me is that I have people in my life that are not as intelligent as me, that are not, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that these are people who are not educated. These are people who barely can put sentences together on paper, who are influencing people who are supposed to have more sense that they're demonstrating. That's the thing that's getting me. That's the thing that's getting me. That money is superseding intelligence and integrity of character. That's the thing that's getting me right now. Anyway, I hope that when I watch this again, I hope it all makes sense because I was all over the place. Anyway, so that's what I will be sharing more stories. Because you need to know, for those of you who are going through something, that you're not alone, that what's happening to you is wrong, and God's going to vindicate. Hey, how are you? How are you? How are you? Here I am sitting in this. Okay, so let me just talk to you about the lighting. I have been just so glad and happy to being able to post again. Like I've been before, I used to be so particular about the lighting and things, to have things set up properly. And now that I'm kind of like in the flow of posting, I'm going to get proper light. This is not proper lighting. This is the car. This is not proper lighting. And I missed you too. I'm being more consistent now, only because the weight's been lifted. I feel more of an understanding of what's been happening around me and the enemies that are in my life. Now, this is the thing. I need you to pray. Come in agreement with me, because at least 2 of my daughters have been swayed to do a certain thing, to behave a certain way against me. And I know this is my mother and my sister. My mother and my sister Janet. My sister Janet has this hate for me. I don't know why, but it's since we were children. Like, she'd steal my stuff and damage it, throw it out. Like, she has this extreme hate for me. And let me tell you something. This sister is so pretty. She's pretty and she's intelligent. So why she hates me so much, I don't know. I don't know. You guys are going to hear more stories. I'm going to share more of what happened with me, the messed up situation that my family put my daughters and I through. I guarantee you my daughters they're going to have to heal. And I don't believe in medication. I do not believe in therapy as we know it. I believe that the Lord has his own therapeutic situations to help you heal, because I'm a product of that. As much as I was in the system and I was into psychology and I helped children, I guided them to heal, I believe that the Lord has his own process of making people go into a healing process, because I went through it. Yeah, anyway. I thank you also very much for supporting the channel. I know it's early. What time is it? Oh my God. 5, almost 7 o'clock in the morning. But like I said, anytime I have a chance to come on, I'm going to come on, because the enemy doesn't want me speaking. And I'm not ashamed to talk about what I went through, because they should be ashamed of what they've done. They should be. And I think they thought that I was weak because I was kind. I was nice, but now I'm kind. Nice means you can do anything you want. And kind means you have some serious boundaries. And believe me, I'm going to tell you that. I have boundaries now that probably aren't even necessary. I'm so guarded. Thank you for the hearts. I'm so guarded that I'm loving. I love to meet people. And the thing with me right now is that if I meet you for the first time, you're going to meet the genuine loving side of me. If I've met you 3 or 4 times after that, I'm going to assume that someone's met you and told you about me or said something about me, and our relationship will no longer be the same as it was. There's someone who I don't know very well who is determined to turn my life upside down. Determined. And I don't even know this chick. I don't know her well at all. That goes to show you what this generation is like. How do you hate someone you don't know? Are you sick? What's wrong with you? You don't know me and you hate me. But then smile up on my face like, hey girl, how are you? Blah blah blah. Ugh. I prayed for God to show me who my enemies were, and he did. But what he also did was he heightened my discernment. So when someone says, hey, hi, I can sense the spirit, the fakeness, almost right away. And it's such a turn off. It's such a turn off. Are they? Well, I'm gonna share more stories. I have to, because people are telling me that they, I'm getting emails and such from people telling me that, yeah, I can relate or whatever else. And you'd be surprised, even though we have similar stories, some of the stories are like, wow. Like if people are being attacked, it's in different ways. Actually, it's so sad that people are allowed to do this. People are just like, these are walking bodies with no insides. They're just hollow shells. It's just so sad. So sad. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. What time is it? Wow, I've been on here for almost an hour. Dang it. This is not gonna replay well. Who wants to sit for... Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna go inside and get a bit of a nap. Love you guys so much, very, very much. God bless you, darling. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go. Remember, you are made marvelously. You're a special generation. I know you feel it, you know it. You feel it, you know it. And just embrace it, because God's going to use you to, if there's going to be a Bible to come, you're going to be special part characters to play in that. Oh gosh, until next time, be blessed. The Lord loves you. I love you too, but he loves you so much more. Okay, until next time. Love ya. Love you. Love you. Thanks for the hearts, guys.